rules!
$1 million once, $1 million twice. Fair warning, it is selling at $1 million. So, $1 million.
Hello, I'm Mark Ford, CEO of James D. Julia Auctioneers. I'm pleased to introduce Mr. Jay Lowe. Jay is the Chief Cataloger of our Antique Advertising Toy and Doll Division, and he's here to share his ideas and thoughts about our upcoming auction and some selected highlights that he wanted to share with you.
As was typical in the late 1800s and the first half of the 20th century, toys always seemed to follow the social, political, economic climate of the time. So oftentimes, toys emulated either real-life objects or the social and political aspects of what was happening at that time period. Dapper Dan and Jazzbo Jim, these toys were produced by Marx in the 1920s, 1930s time period. And they certainly had a caricature feature about them with regards to how people felt about black people. You know, Dapper Dan, obviously, he was dressed up to the nines and he did his little jig on top of a box, and the Jazzbo Jim had wonderful lithography about the box, but depictions of the black family life, living in cabins, and you know, a life of absolutely minimal necessities. Great toys, wonderfully collectible, and to eliminate these toys or forget about these toys is to eliminate a part of history. The tunable trolley, which was by Fontaine Fox and a most popular comic strip during the 20s. And this is a very comical, highly lithographed toy by Nifty, a German company, made basically just for this country. And when you wind it up, it had wonderful action, quite comical, and the kids loved that toy as it rolled along on the floor. I think toys like that are wonderful today, but most people have no idea who the tunable trolley was or who the tunable folks were. Another interesting piece is cast iron. It's a Hubley airplane, and it's the DO-X, which was one of the largest, in real life, it was one of the largest amphibious planes ever created by a German company. And Hubley duplicated this in miniature form, not to a T, but fairly accurate in cast iron. And, you know, that just has a great look. It's a wonderful plane. It has a lot of appeal, and it's a highly sought after and relatively rare plane. Buddy L toys, which were pressed steel, produced in the 20s on up until, you know, into the 60s by another company, made wonderful toys out of pressed steel. And the company was located in Illinois. Buddy L baggage truck, which is the typical black cabbed truck with a yellow staked back. And again, during the time period of the 20s, you would see these trucks often roaming the streets. This particular example is in wonderful condition, and it's just a great piece. It just has an overall wonderful appeal to it. But again, we have collectors that like pressed steel, we have collectors that like the tin, we have collectors that like the iron, and it's very unusual for a collector to be so involved and have some of this and some of that. Usually they're much more focused in what they collect. Light tin lithographed toys. The first is a long haul truck. Again, one would see this truck roaming the streets during the 20s, and this was duplicated in toy form. And this truck is just, or this toy truck is just in amazing, wonderful, original condition. And it's complemented by the Speed Cycle, which was manufactured by Marx. Again, this was a typical toy that the police would be driving around, and it was a traffic car. You know, these toys are copies in miniature form. And this particular pair of toys is a great pair in exceptional original condition. And that would be the one thing that I would always tell collectors. Always try to buy the best condition. Always try to buy the cleanest, the nicest piece possible. You're better off spending twice as much money for pristine than you are for ones with issues or damage.